Hi everyone, Antoine Fantoine here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Weezer album, Everything Will Be Alright in the End. Famed alternative rock and power pop band, Weezer, on their 9th full-length album here. Wow. Their first album came out in 1994. It's one of my favorite pop rock albums of all time. It's essentially been 20 years since the release of that record. Amazing singles on this album. Clever, sort of fun, humorous, nerd-friendly tunes. But as great as this album was to me, in the grander scheme of things, it doesn't really feel like anything more in the career of Weezer than just a moment in time, because now with the band being as old as they are, there's a lot of history. Weezer hit an artistic and a commercial stride with the Blue Album, with Pinkerton, but then more radio-friendly songs began to come down the pipe with albums like the Green Album, but the groan-worthy material didn't really dropping until records like Make Believe, or the Red Album, or Raditude, where we were getting singles like Beverly Hills and We're All on Drugs, songs that are so far outside the rubric of why you originally loved the band, it's kind of hard not to at least feel just a little bit of a sense of betrayal. And when fans feel that way, it's a little hard to kind of win them back. It's like you've almost soured the relationship. Plus, I think a lot of fans were anticipating that Weezer would kind of age and mature along with them as they grew up, but instead Weezer decided to kind of stay in this musical neverland where they would essentially stay 16 years old, musically and lyrically, for the rest of time. So despite this lack of progression, and maybe even a tiny embrace of regression on a few records, I actually did end up enjoying Weezer's last album quite a bit. Hurley. For me, this record was relatively low on BS. It just had a lot of good, catchy, straightforward pop rock songs in the typical Weezer style. But another thing this album signaled to me is that maybe Weezer is going to pander less to the radio rock market because we've got the internet now where everything has a niche. And maybe, if we're lucky, will we not only get some better songs from Weezer, but maybe even just a little bit of acknowledgement of the years of disappointment felt by people whose adolescence was defined by songs like El Scorcho and the Sweater Song, as well as Buddy Holly. And Weezer actually does that here. They make the effort. They do it to the best of their abilities. I will not go as far as to say Weezer has matured on this record, but they have put out their most ambitious album in a while here. And in addition to that, this is their most self-aware record in well over a decade. Musically, Weezer is putting together songs in typical Weezer fashion with that same guitar tone, super heavy, super thick, the mid-paced riffs. Rivers Cuomo's vocals still have a somewhat whiny tone to them, but still very enjoyable. The bass is basically there just to thicken things up. The drums are nice. With Weezer, it's not really the magic of any individual part. Really, it's more about how all the instrumentation comes together to complement the song. And there are some songwriting triumphs on this record, like Eulogy for a Rock Band, a song that embraces a theme on this record that rock and Weezer are both kind of past their prime, maybe past their peak of relevancy. And if that is in fact the case, then this song is a very punchy, fun, catchy, and kind of a tear-jerking goodbye. Super melodic chorus, way catchy lyrics on the chorus as well, and poetically I think it kind of puts the rock band to bed quite nicely. And I love the song Had It Up to Here, which starts off with this really funky guitar riff. It's got a great groove, but then when the verse comes in, I think the theme of this song really hits home, with Rivers singing that I'm trying to give you my best artistically, I'm trying to give you my best material, but you've essentially plugged up your ears at this point. Which, for a lot of Weezer fans, is totally 100% true, and you know, the frustration, Rivers, is very mutual, but not on this track. I love how lyrically he's diving into a lot of the critiques that people have thrown at Weezer over the years, and maybe he's acknowledging them a little bit. The lack of edge, the mediocrity, the homogenization. He's saying what a lot of people have been saying, and he puts it into a very nicely packaged song, but is he only saying what sort of maybe longtime Weezer fans or ex-Weezer fans have been wanting to hear. Because it's not like this album isn't without its mediocre moments. You have Lonely Girl. Like, you were just singing about mediocrity, and then you put out this song, Lonely Girl, which maybe has some of the most insipid lyrics of any Weezer song. Not just that, but the song is just way too cliche to handle. And even further on the cliche scale is the male-female duet on the song Go Away. Again, you were just singing about mediocrity, and you're doing a song here that sounds like a really terrible she and him tune. We have a lead single from this LP, Back to the Shack, which instrumentally is a pretty catchy tune, but lyrically I'm not really sure I'm that into the concept. We have Rivers singing about, hey, you know, let's get out of this crappy singing show stuff and instead get back to what we do best and what we're familiar with and what we know is great and what we know the fans want. Get back to the shack, do the writing, do the rocking, just be Weezer. And in this song, lyrically, we have Rivers singing about going hardcore like it's 94, when in fact this song does not sound like 94 Weezer. It sounds like 2001 Weezer. Anybody who's a Weezer fan knows that. And while in concept I do agree with the jab at stupid singing shows, the alternative that Weezer is bringing to the table here is really only like a lesser of two evils. It's not like, oh my god, this is what I should be doing instead. And the opening track on here too, over 20 years as a band, and Weezer is still singing about that feel when no girlfriend. Not just that, but this song is also an example of how atrocious the production can get on this record. The song kicks off with this overly loud, bassy, and compressed guitar riff that is just so booming and so crushing. Like, what are you trying to prove? You don't gotta go super heavy just to impress us. And besides, when the guitars get this loud, which they do occasionally, you can't even really make out the vocals that well. So yeah, the years of musical abuse, I have had my heart turned a little cold when it comes to Weezer. However, there are still moments on this record where they get to me. Like on the song The British Are Coming, which is a little overly simplified as far as the history behind the song, but it's still a little fun, left hook, patriotism pop rock tune, which I didn't see coming. Then there's the song Da Vinci, which I think has one of Weezer's best hooks in years on it. And I like the lyrical concept of this song, saying that this person that may be a love interest is very hard to describe. They're abstract, they're different, they just have no precedent, they're hard to put into words. Saying that not even Da Vinci could paint this person, not even Stephen Hawking could explain this person. We've got Cleopatra, which to me sticks out as a unique tune just because of how oddly shaped and grooved the lead melody is on the chorus. Really weird hook. It feels almost as if like the drums and the guitars bust in maybe like a beat early, and it's a bit of a surprise. Like on The British Are Coming, we also have a bit of a nod to history on this song, but the concept of this track really lies in aging and just growing older and growing colder emotionally, which maybe runs parallel to the whole Weezer rock fan dynamic going on right now that's mentioned on a few tracks here. There's the song Foolish Father, where we kind of see Rivers' very well documented daddy issues kind of playing out into a sequel song here, where maybe he's reflecting a little bit on the fact that he's a father now and has to kind of work through these difficulties at a different angle. And once again, this song is incredibly catchy, straightforward, sweet, that classic Weezer formula at work once again. And this track, like many other songs on here, work through the theme set out by the title of this album, that I guess everything will work out when it's all over. And the record itself definitely does that. It resolves really well with this trio of songs that are filled with soaring guitar harmonies. It's a really grand, epic, and ambitious finish for this record, for Weezer in general. Maybe some of you might be thinking this trio of tracks was trying a little too hard, but I personally like the fact that Weezer seems to be trying at all. It really feels like they're putting an effort into these songs. And again, while this record may not exactly be mature, Weezer at least tries to build a bridge to a lot of their older fans saying, hey, listen, we hear you, and we know the issue and we know the problem, and essentially we're just like a little sorry for it. And it's nice to hear that, but only sometimes does it feel like Weezer is actually working to fix these issues. And as a result, as much as I like a lot of the tracks here, it's sort of hard to be totally gung-ho about this record because of the disappointing moments. I'm feeling a strong 6 to a light 7 on this thing. Transition, though I guess I did totally end up digging a lot of this record. Yeah, you know, it's a likable album. It's a good album. I just, you know, it's just hard not to at least be just a touch disappointed because of just how high the high watermarks were, at least for me anyway, earlier on in Weezer's career. But that's it. You know, it feels like a throwback album a little bit, but again, it's very much a throwback to like the early 2000s Weezer, not the 90s Weezer. Cool, cool. Have you given this album a listen? If you have, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Weezer, forever.